Okay. All right, looks like some folks are coming back on here. Great. Good to see folks. Any of the viewers here, go ahead and maybe try adding a comment if you can. Let's make sure that's working. I'm on a new mobile setup. Folks might notice there's a different background. I'm in Vancouver today. So try adding a comment and see if let's see if that works here. So I've got a brand new mobile setup today. Well, maybe yes, maybe no on that. So we'll go ahead and get going here, and hopefully that works. Do one thing real quick. Aha, hey Eric. Good to see you. Excellent. Okay. All right. Well, I think that's working then. So we are going to let's get some terminals going here. And I think today, unless folks have questions, if you do have questions and comments, just please go ahead and just chime in on the comments and we'll take those. I think today we're going to start with maybe some jobs to be done OS work. So the for those of you uninitiated, this is a basically a template program we use for a lot of the portfolio companies we have here in Luminate. So we're just going to get started and get a cursor going. So I definitely use cursor for just about everything these days, as well as Codex as the primary tools. And I'm using O3 Pro, really liking that now. But as you might guess, this is something that changes quite a lot as the tools evolve. So with Job Speed on OS, or actually just with any of the tools, one of the things that I find is I do a bunch is create these to-do directories. Effectively, what's working best is doing essentially waterfall development. Coming back to it, it really helps to do a lot more planning up front versus just sort of going in and either vibe coding, to use the current phrase, or just even agile type stuff. So what we like to do here, what I'm finding more effective, is creating a to-do type thing where we are basically ask the AI, or even just hand type a number of different scenarios, different features we want to do. Have it do the entire plan first, and then go through and have it implement it. So one of the things that's come up a bunch recently is so we'll do one start to finish, and I think we'll create an entire new application. And so one of the ones that's come up a bunch recently is the need for our portfolio companies to send data to our sort of central management repository that we call Thrive4. So this is what we're going to do as our metrics repository. So this is something we call the metrics plan. And actually, I was working on this last week, but I kind of forgot where we're at. So let's go through and look here, and this will help us get things figured out. So we want to have a set of metrics for how the different companies are doing. This is like things like number of customers, number of visits to the website, revenue coming in from Stripe, and so forth. And we have an endpoint here for how all that works, and that's under packages. metrics, and here's our set of features and so forth. And so I don't think we have this really well documented at the moment. So that's sort of one thing that we need to do. We need to update our documentation. So we'll go check on that. Another thing we need to do is, I think it'd be very helpful to have a simple sample app that shows that. And then the next thing would be, I think maybe some more tests, because we got some tests in here, but tests can always be done better and so forth. So let's first start with just the basics. Let's make sure we get our code pulled down. Anything new in here? All right. So yep, there's been some new stuff on this. And let's go install the latest. And while that's installing, let's go get ourselves a browser and get some Codex things going. And Codex is, if you don't know, is under ChatGPT. Totally loving this. Let's make sure I'm in the right team. Yes, Thrive for jobs to be done. Oh boy, I'm on a slow network here. Yikes. Yikes, yikes, yikes. That's pretty slow. All right, well, that's okay. We're going to have Codex work on most of this independently here. So let's get a couple of tasks going to get going here. So we want to use this metrics package. So since it's been now a week since I worked on it and had a whole bunch of other stuff going on, I kind of forgot what was going on. So we're just going to start off with a please analyze the it's under packages, metrics package, and see how well tested and documented it is. The documentation will live in the, which package is that under? Should be under the jobs to be done OS. Should be the jobs to be done OS web package. I believe we took this. Should be an empty directory now. Be done. Yep, that's an empty directory. So let's go ahead and clean that up. Okay, but it showed up somehow, so that's interesting. It looks like node modules. So if this pops up again, we might need to do a cleanup somewhere. So it's going to go ahead and get rid of that. Oh, I see. All right. I had it from an old install, so we're going to go get all that cleaned up. Okay. Let's make sure we're on the latest and make sure we're on main. We are on main. All right. So the documentation will be in the apps, jobs to be done, OS, web, application. Okay, so now here's the trick. This is where we're going to ask it to do some stuff for us, and that'll kick off a series of work. And one thing you'll notice is that we're basically going to kick off a whole bunch of work and effectively be working in parallel. And that's kind of the big mindset shift in getting a lot done, is that kind of, my previous 30 years of programming, I would always do stuff where it was, I'd code, think of what next to do, code, think of what next to do. And it was all kind of serialized on how fast my brain was working. And the trick to taking advantage of these tools is to go as parallel as you can, which is also why planning really, really matters. So what we're going to do then is please create a new directory called metrics. That's right, to do metrics. And then do a step-by-step implementation plan for enhancing the functionality of the metrics package and improving the documentation of it. Oops. Oh, sure. You can see our microphone, but we don't want to do that. Go back. We just want to fix my typing. All right. The documentation should have a clear starter kit type approach of step by step how to integrate it into an existing application. All right, so we're going to get that going. Next thing we need to do is, I don't believe we actually have a sample application for it. So let's look under apps. So we've got some samples for agents, but let's do a metric sample. So the next thing we need to do then is please create a vanilla Next.js app as a as apps metric sample, and then we want to say do not write any code for this just yet. What we want to do here is first plan out this application. This application should have no dependencies, minimal dependencies, so that it is crystal clear how it works. It should just show a simple UI of some kind with a login page, no passwords or anything. The sign up page, I should say. And a purchase button. The signups and metrics should use the metrics API calls in the packages metrics package. Please create a to-do / metrics sample directory with a series of step-by-step instructions for how to build this application. Okay, what else do we want to say about this? The implementation should be very well commented and well documented in the apps JavaScript OS web documentation section. All right, so we're going to get that going too. One thing you might notice here is the 0 of 4 versions bit. This is a new feature that OpenAI shipped. I quite like it. What it lets you do is have the AI go off and basically do things 4 at a time, which really, really, really helps. Because sometimes it just barfs and does really bad work. And so in those cases, what you want to do is where it's helpful to have like these 4 versions is you just go through and look at the different versions and see which one is the most helpful. And so let's now go to, I got a couple of these. Oh, all right. This is really super good news. All right, I already got done. So that was fast. All right, let's see what we got. All right, so version 1. Okay, that's good. Turbo test does nothing. All right, so that looks pretty good there. Let's see what it does, but first let's just see what everybody else does. Just not even as good. All right, let's see here. So now I'm just basically reading, essentially doing a code review of what it's suggesting as the plan. It's kind of okay-ish. It's not very good plan, but let's see what this one has. Yeah, I think our version 1 might be the best. Let's see what we got here again. All right, I kind of like this one the best. So we're going to create a pull request on this first one here. We're going to let that run, and I bet you at this point, if we go back, we are probably, we're not done with that piece yet. So let's go have a look now at, this is some work I was doing a little while ago with an MCP agent, see if there's anything we want to come back to here. What we're doing here is this is making a call to something called Thrive for MCP URL. And this is actually a good set of changes on this particular thing. So we're gonna let that one go as well. Create a pull request and go see there. So this is a separate one where what we're doing is we have an API called an MCP API called send feedback, where we can use the AI to analyze sort of customer feedback and customer interactions. And then we'll take that and basically map that against our central planning tool, which we call Thrive 4. And so it's a really, 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 really simple thing here. One thing that we are going to need to do is, I want to change this feedback here. So once it gets in, we'll take this and we'll edit it in Cursor. So I want to say something like a missing feature versus just great, feedback, great sample. That's not a very, very good thing. But anyway, it doesn't matter. That feedback will go in. So all right, that pull request is going. We go back here and let's see what we got. All right, so the metrics app sample structure is still going. Let's go to the our pull request here and see if this is in. It is still building, but we kind of know that this one's okay because it's just documentation. If we go double check, the file's changed. Yeah, it's just documentation plan. So this is plan. So even though it's still building, I'm going to go ahead and commit this one just for speed here. So we're going to merge that pull request, get that in there. We're going to delete the branches just because I really hate having lots of million branches that are just orphaned for all time. Because a year from now, you go back to it like nobody cares. So just keep your branches clean all the time. All right, so that one is done. And then what you're going to see when we go back to Codex is going to basically show it up as having been merged. And so we're going to come back to that because we're going to do a pull and we'll start using cursor on this stuff. And so let's see here. Oh, yeah, this one I was fine with. Let's check our pull request. It is still building. So we're going to let that go and keep finish building. We are still thinking through that. So let's go ahead and now, since we've got a plan for implementing our metrics improvements, let's go back and we'll pull that and start implementing it. And here's where we're going to use cursor. So we should get that new to-do. Let's copy that piece there. We're going to need that in a second. And again, let's make sure we've got everything. And let's make sure everything builds before we go anywhere. Because if it's not building, then there's no point in digging the hole deeper. If it's not building because something got screwed up, best to go get that fixed. So we're going to just let this sucker go off and build. And always helpful to have another terminal window going. So let's get another one of these guys going. Because now what we're going to do is... Perfect. All right. So the build works. And we'll get a test going there in just a second. But now, rather than using cursor here, I kind of like Codex. And this is sort of 6 of one, half a dozen. But Codex we can use O3 Pro with, which is nice. So we're going to start with Codex for building it. And kind of the way I do this stuff is I use... try to use some of the tools that can run in parallel the most, and only when I know that I'm going to need to edit and so forth, that's when I go off and use cursor and whatnot. So our build worked. We'll get a test going just to make sure all the tests are passing. All right, so what we're going to do here is please implement the plan found in, boom. And then we also say, be sure that all of the tests pass with turbo run test, and that turbo run build continues to work. Okay, so we're going to let Codex go off, and maybe for simplicity, I'm just going to hide this on another screen. I've got a little triple monitor set up here. And, oh wow, our metrics stuff is still thinking. That's unusual. Let's just go check in on this real quick. Oh, no. Okay, it actually was done. So let's see what it's thinking for our metrics app structure. So version 1, looks like this version decided to go, it went off and went ahead and wrote a bunch of code. Well, good for it. Let's see what it what it's doing. Okay, that's decent documentation there. No image. We can fill one of those in later. Okay, that's good there. We got our oh, haha. Didn't actually build anything. So it's just a very, very basic all right, that's interesting. So this version just went off and kind of did a stub, but didn't actually implement anything. And so this version went off and let's see what it's doing here. Kind of like that this version's got sort of more distinct steps. What I found is that if you have sort of smaller, more distinct steps, it works a lot better. Okay. Wow, like every one of these things went off and decided to go off and write code. So it just ignored my please don't write any code commands. Well, we might just end up running with that anyway. Okay, and let's see this one here. It also wanted to do oh, yuck, 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 yuck. All right, one safety tip. Anytime these guys try to go mess with the lock file directly, that is just bad news. So you just kind of always ignore those versions. All right, so I think what we're going to do is rather than take any of this stuff here, we are going to we're just going to copy. Oh, we don't want the file name. We want to copy the whole. Just want to copy the code here, the to do. So what I'm thinking to do here is rather than take one of these things, or actually let's just do it. Let's just do it like this. Please remove all of the code and just have the detailed step-by-step plan. All right, so we're going to have it fix it and get rid of all the code. Okay, let's go back now to our other one. Okay, so let's see how our pull request is going. So if you notice, I'm now just like rapid fire bouncing between all of these things, which is kind of insane, but it works. And we are, that's weird, still building. Let's try refreshing that because that was 10 minutes ago. That should be done by now. Let's see what's going on. Oh, I'm queued. We got too much going on. All right, let's go see what we got going on in the deployments here. Yeah, we got a couple of these queued up. Oh, right, yeah, because we did not bump our number of simultaneous builds for the job speed on OS4. We've only done that elsewhere. Since we don't do that much coding on job speed on OS4, relatively speaking, I think we'll just leave it at the slower pace. It's okay. You don't need to spend money where we don't need to. Okay, so now we're going to go back to our codecs. Let's see how our update is going. And oh wait, this is the wrong one. Okay. So this is our analyze and plan. There we go. Okay. So, oh no, that's the one that we are. Wait a minute. See, now the downside to doing these things is you sometimes get yourself confused. That's the one we just did. And oh right, this is the one that we were fixing, and it's still thinking. Okay, so that just was working more slowly. Okay, let's go now and check in on our implementation. So we have Codex running. It's been running for a little while here. And then one thing I like about Codex is just pretty easy to follow along with the work. So we're just going to scroll back up and see what it's doing. Okay, so here's an interesting thing. So it says it wants to keep track of metrics in a queue. And so we actually don't want to do that. Because the problem with the queue is, remember, we're running serverless. And so where does that queue actually live? And so I bet they are, let's see what it's doing here. Temp post. Okay, so I don't like what this is doing here. And that's totally okay. So this happens sometimes. So what we're going to do is we're going to stop that. And we're just going to see what it's done. And we're just going to blow it all away. And because now it's obvious what we need to do is a more serious edit to this stuff. Because the AI has kind of gone on a different path. So now we're going to go back to our cursor. And we are going to go to our metrics implementation plan. And we're going to do a new conversation. And basically we want to say here, we want to change this plan. We use a standard Next.js or JavaScript library that handles API calls with backoffs and retries versus doing this manually. And I've used Axios before. I kind of like Axios for this, but I'm kind of curious what else I'd recommend. I've used Axios before, but if there is a better library, please. So we notice this is also using O3 Pro, but kind of why I swapped into cursor mode versus Codex is this isn't going to be fire and forget anymore. Like, it's obvious that what we wanted to do here was a little bit beyond what the AI can do. So we're going to need to guide it more by hand, which is why we're in cursor. So we are going to also just since cursor gives a little bit different context, I sometimes find it helpful to have it review the plans. All right, so we're going to let that one go and think, but we're going to come back and check in on that pretty closely. So hopefully our plan here has gotten better. Yeah, sure, whatever. Okay, yep, so this one got fixed. So we're going to create a pull request and let that go because that's now just documentation. All right, so now we come back here and that one is thinking. We're going to go view our pull request because this also is just documentation, so we can safely merge that and go. And so we want to do that as well. And we're going to delete that branch. Okay, so now we go back. Let's pull that. So it's got the documentation. Now we're going to go back to our cursor. And if anybody has comments or feedback or questions, you can always just go in and go to the little chat bar and feel free to say stuff. I should be able to see it there, no problem. While this one is thinking, maybe I'll do a quick tour of some of the handy files that we've got in here to make all this stuff work better. We're going to come back to that in just a sec. Couple of the important files you want to have at your root directory is this thing called agents.md. This is used by the Codex tool, and it is keeping track of basically all of the instructions you want that apply globally to the application. That's Codex Web. And if for whatever reason OpenAI has a different name, because I guess it was a different team that did it, for the command line version of Codex, you want the same thing, but it's done as codex.md. And then for cursor, you have something called cursor rules, which are right. Oh my God, where are my cursor rules? Huh. We don't have them in here, which is really weird. But the cursor rules should be in here, and they also help guide cursor along. So let's go back to our plan here. Okay, so let's see what it says. Below is an updated enhanced plan. Yep, it says using Axios and Axios retry. Yep. So we're going to do that. All right, this still wants an in-memory queue. We're going to get rid of the in-memory queue. Okay, so this looks pretty good. So we're just going to ask it. I don't think it actually changed the to-do file. That's okay. Just going to say, please implement this plan, except do not implement the queuing of calls. We are running serverless and expect a low volume. files should just go through and be flushed immediately. Okay. So we're going to let that one run, and then let's check back in on what else we had going on here. So we're going to go back to our, that one's done. Let's go back to our overall codex, and we now have everything open, or everything closed and merged, except this one should be done. Let's go back to our pull request and let's see if we actually have it built and ready. Almost ready to go. That's actually a fine thing to not have. We're going to let it just to be pure. We'll let that finish because it's already building. But we know we didn't change any of that stuff, so that should all be fine. But just to be safe, we'll let it go. And so we'll let that one finish in just a second. And so let's go back to our cursor. And it's thinking along. And maybe just for everybody listening in, we've got about maybe 5 minutes left in tonight's webcast. So I do have another appointment I need to get to, unfortunately. So today I don't get to code very much. I was hoping to have more time, but have some other things I do in my job besides coding, very sadly. So today was just a little bit of coding. All right, so that one's going along just fine. It's thinking. There is a bit of a trade-off here. Maybe I'll comment on this while it's going through. The O3 Pro is my favorite. Right now, it does the most in terms of sort of generating high quality code, but it is pokey. It's pretty slow. From time to time, I find it better to just use, I won't swap it here, but Opus 4 Max from Anthropic is also pretty good. And if you are getting in a spot where the AI is just not generating great code, try one of the other models. Sometimes it ends up working a lot better. And then at some point, if it doesn't, just go back and write it by hand. But as you can probably tell, if you're writing by hand, then it's hard to, you're not taking advantage of being able to go in parallel with everything. So we'll let that go. I think our build should be done at this point. We'll have that refresh. And it is building. Yeah, so it's off and building. So this should be, the build here is pretty quick on this. So this should be done. This should be done shortly. And all right, good. Now this thing is starting to go. So let's watch what it's doing. And so when you're coding by hand on this, or coding, in cursor, I do find it helpful to watch exactly what's going on. Because then we can kind of see here. So Axios and Axios retry. Good. All right, where's the rest of the stuff I was still generating? All right, well, if I was really coding for real, I am coding for real right now, but if I had a longer session, what I would be doing at this point is kicking off another set of jobs for the next set of things we need done. There's more sample code to write and whatnot. But since I do have another appointment coming up, we're not going to do that tonight. We're just going to let this thing finish and call it good for now. Okay, so there's our standard Axios. That looks correct. And where is it putting it? Hopefully it is putting it in. Oh no. Oh, no, that's okay. This is in the metrics thing. So we're going to create an Axios client. I got what it's doing. Yep, no, so that's totally fine to use it down in there. All right, last chance for, we're going to let this go. I'm going to do my next call and just have the AI finish this while I'm on the next call. And so we'll just, I'll be able to get my coding done and the stuff checked in pretty smoothly and quickly and easily here, just while, while I'm doing management meetings in the meantime. So thanks everybody for joining up on this. And I will see folks who are interested tomorrow, 4 o'clock Pacific as well. We'll do another session like this. Not entirely sure what we'll code tomorrow, but hopefully we'll find something pretty fun. All right. Thanks, everybody.